This podcast is brought to you by LA Legends Winner Circle. The finish line is in sight, and this is your moment to shine. Every new account, every sale, every relationship built brings you closer to the LA Legends Winner Circle. It's more than recognition, it's proof you've turned goals into greatness. So push hard, finish strong, and earn your place amongst the best. LA Legends Winner Circle, close this like a champion.
Welcome back to the LA Legends podcast, the show where we bring conversations with leaders shaping the culture, performance, and future of our organization. I'm Michael Fisher.
And I'm Michelle Lee. Today's episode is a powerful one because we're talking about how to drive long-term success in business, but also in your personal life. And that's with developing and coaching the people around you. And these are multipliers, the skills that can turn good teams into great organizations.
And there is nobody better than the guest that we have today. A couple quick things about him. Market director of Iowa. Has had over 200 business cards. How many business cards often?
A lot of positions.
A lot of positions inside of Aflac. But truthfully, he's just genuinely a good human being. And I can honestly say that he actually put me back in a direction of going really after personal development and trying to better myself. Can you just talk us through a little bit about what you believe some of the leadership truths are, what you've built your career culture, your fundamentals?
I go back, there was a good part of my journey where I was focused on number one. I was focused on just me getting mine and really was self-centered. And, went through some personal things in life, about 8-9 years ago. And I started going down this different path, and that new path really required me to get out of self. I had to start going down a new path and thinking about leadership in general, but also being a husband, being a new father. I needed a complete factory reset with the wiring in my brain. I started down that, and when I say factory reset, I mean this isn't just about leadership. I mean, this is personal, it's spiritual, this is professional, it's all the things. And so I through my experience, really over the last almost decade, I guess I've kind of learned some things. Right, leadership is a pretty simple concept. It's how do I help enough other people, get to where they want to go, their version of happily ever after, or as Chris Ashton always says, their definition of success, right? And so I wake up every day and the first thing I see on my alarm clock is in capital letters. When it goes off, it says time to serve. So I think at our core in leadership, I don't know of any other kind other than servant leadership. So, a truth is, I know that leadership is serving. I know that leadership is serving others, helping others. And if I can help enough other people win, I hate that famous Zig Ziglar quote, the timeless quote, if you help enough others get what they want, you're going to get what you want. But it's so true. And I found that to be a truth. And if your motive is, I truly I want to get out there every day and I want to help others become the best version of themselves, help others win. And if I can do that, it typically requires me getting out of self. So that's certainly a truth. And I can always go back to that, right, Mikey? I mean, we got a lot coming at us, and there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of distractions, and I always have to put it up against that test. Is this truly going to help? Is this in the best interest of the team? Is this in the best interest of somebody's development? Is this going to serve them well? Like, I have to put things up against this test, and if the answer is no, then I might have to take a second look at it.
Every hero needs a sidekick. The site seller is yours, helping you ask the right questions, show the right numbers, and land the right solutions. Navigate conversations like a pro and turn every business owner into a believer.
What are some of those initial questions that if people are choosing to be a leader and wanting to be better, what are some of those questions that they need to start asking themselves? What are some of those prompts that you gave yourself and that you still practice today?
Yeah, I would say number one is do you really love the people that you serve? Do you really care about the people you serve? And that it has to start there. And in our business, I think it's important. We learn from Aslan. They do a great job of talking about serving and servant leadership. But it all comes down to serving more really means caring more first. And it's caring about the individual, not necessarily the number that's next to their name, but it's caring about the person first. Then it's learning more about them. What is important to somebody? How do they define success? And what's their version of happily ever after? And what's important to them? And so if I really care about somebody as a person first, and they know that, like that's so important. Like you can't just think that your leader cares about you. You gotta know. You gotta know. And that starts with the leader. The easiest way to care about somebody is actually care about them and love them. And I tell my team that all the time. I'm like, guys, I love you, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. And that's because of who you are. It's not because of what you're doing. It's because of who you are. And I choose that. So I care about them first. Then I got to learn more, and then I can do more. Once I care about somebody as a person, I learn more about what's important to them. Then I can identify, and opportunities will present themselves where I can do more for them as their leader. And that's why my alarm has to say it's time to serve. That means time to serve means times to care more about my people today, time to learn more about what's going on in their world, and then time to identify what can I do? Like, how can I help?
You have a lot of those types of things tool wise. But if you ask yourself, do I actually care for this person? Do I love this person? Do I want to help? What if the answer is no? Like, what if you're just like, I don't want to lead this person. I don't want this person on my team. What then?
Some people will qualify as EGR, extra grace required. And so, that's you're going to have that. But here's what I believe. I believe everybody's going through something. Everybody's got stuff going on, and if the receptivity is not there, I'm not going to stop loving them, right? I'm not going to stop caring. I can still care about them. I may not spend as much time with them. I'll probably maybe spend them a little more time if they're not real receptive. I'm never going to stop caring about them. I'm going to keep trying to lead them. I'm probably not going to invest. You mentioned coaching earlier. I'm not going to invest a lot of time coaching them if the desire is not there, if the receptivity is not there. But no matter what, I'm still going to care about you. That's where I love you, and there's not a dang thing you can do about it. Even if you're acting like a fool and you're making bad choices, like I'm still going to love you. But come on, man, we gotta figure some things out here.
Yeah, and that. The truth is you actually live that too. There's not any inauthentic bone in your body.
You've brought up some the tools earlier, knowing what tools in the toolbox that actually work for you. Can you talk us through that?
When I go back to that factory reset, I knew physically I wasn't in a good place just based on some of the lifestyle I had. I had a doctor that told me if you don't make some changes, you may not see 40. So health wise, like physically, I had some work to do there. Virtually really kind of bankrupt at that point in time. And I needed, I had a lot of work to do there. And then professionally, I was still finding success, hitting bonuses and how a company would define success. I was still achieving, but I was far from fulfilled. So this is something in my toolbox. I get up early before everybody else is awake. I have to have that quiet time in the morning. That's my time for prayer, for devotional. That's a big part of the gratitude. I try to get outside, or I try to get to the gym, try to do something physical. I had a friend of mine, a mentor, who gave me a coin a long time ago. On one side of the coin, it was gratitude. On the other side was worry, like worry or fear. I can't remember. And it's like you can't do both at the same time.
Yeah.
And so if I'm full of fear, if I'm worried about stuff, and I got to flip the coin, and as soon as I go back to gratitude, it's amazing how that can solve for, what am I afraid about? I have a lot to be thankful for. So, that early morning, the morning routine is a game changer for me. And then I think too, like the other thing is saying yes when I want to say no is a tool in my toolbox, actually. And I'm not saying yes to bad things. I'm saying yes to, when my kids, last night's a great example, right? My daughter asked if I wanted to play restaurant. I literally just walked in the door and I was exhausted. I was like, no, I don't want to play restaurant. And I said yes, and when I say it, because I'm so glad that I do afterwards, or and in our business throughout the day, when I know that there are people that I need to reach out to, and it's probably going to be a difficult conversation, I don't want to do it, but typically when I do and I'm able to interact and connect with that person and then work through something, at the end of it, we both feel better. And I always say I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I did that. And usually it goes back to a lot of the things, like I didn't want to wake up early and get out on the trail. I didn't want to, but I said yes to it. and so a lot of times for me, the tools in my toolbox are things that I don't initially want to do, but when I say yes to a man, am I glad that I did them afterwards? And that's really where growth comes from.
The important thing, and this is, it didn't all happen overnight, and it's a practice, just like everything that you just described. It's a practice. Actually starting with a morning routine, that's a practice. Not going on social media, that's a practice. Hitting the podcast button instead of hitting the sports talk radio or or just the same classic shit that we've listened to 5,000
Yeah.
times. Those are all practices, but they do get easier, and it's almost like you're out of balance if you don't have them after a little while, because you're like, oh, I don't feel as good.
Or your spouse will tell you you're out of balance and you need to go for a walk, or you need to, you
Yeah.
need to get to one of your church meetings with the guys. You need to, like, and I'll tell you, I think that's a big part of it too, is having those people in your life that really care. And Mike, you've heard me say this, Michelle, like that accountability is something we do for people, not to people. And I'll be vulnerable here for a second. I brought a pity party home last week from work, and man, I wish I would not have, because man, I got called to the carpet. And she said, I get it. Your job's hard. It's supposed to be hard. Get over it. You got 2.5 hours each evening to be a dad for these kids. Go be a dad. I don't want to hear anymore. And
Yeah.
man, I didn't want to hear that, but gosh, did I need to hear it? And it's like, so I also think it's like, who are those people in my life that care enough to get my attention, grab me by the face mask and say, hey, no more.
Yeah.
This isn't serving you well. This isn't serving us well. Like, reset, get your crap together, man. Like, you got, and I'm like, you're right. You're right. I don't want to hear those things, but that's so important to have those people that you're willing to listen when those people that care about you grab you by the face mask, say, hey, no more. Like, you're better than this, And so I don't know where that came from, but I thought I'd
Oh no,
share it.
it's real. It is. It's real. It's spot on. I mean, even like you also, even just the thought of like, yeah, making yourself go outside. I mean, that's one that again, it's a tool that I think is missed again and again and again. That like it's important. It's actually
Yeah.
important, and there's ways to do it, and there's yeah, we can all do that. All right, so doing just a small little pivot here. We want to dive into coaching. You've been a huge and very, very important coach to me, but I do want to just spend one more moment on this. Like,
I believe in time management and I discipline to a calendar. There's something that I don't think we talk about enough, and that is, one of my mentors and I, we talk a lot about from stimulus to response. There's a space, right? Something happens, and then there's this space, there's this time before we react, before we respond. And this is a lesson I had to learn the hard way. I used to just go 0 to 100 emotionally. I used to just run straight up that ladder of inference, make assumptions, and I've learned, and the more I think about this, I think there's some maturity there when you can really start to identify that pause. And there's power in the pause. From the time something happens and the time that you respond, or how you respond, or how you react. And I'm a Christian, and I believe God is in the pause. And I have a sticky note on my monitor right here, and it says, it's my 3 P's, and it says pause, pray, proceed. So you think about, something happens, I've got to take a pause. And maybe whether it's a prayer, whether it's, all right, so just trying to make sure that, given the information, given whatever the circumstances, because the next action I take is really what matters. And so from a time perspective, I have to do this all day, every day. I mean, Mike, we're in the same position, and there's a lot, there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of distraction, and there's a lot of decisions that need to be made. And so this is something that's helped me a lot. And I'll tell you, I mean, even going back to the active selling days, how we respond to things, right? Gosh, it's so much. And I know we've all seen those quotes, life's 10% of what happens, and 90% how you react to it, right? But this, it's true. And I'll give you an example. I had a large case, and I still have a pipeline, and I still, I'm still going after stuff. And I had a large case I've been working on for this, my second year. And they reached out, and they're like, yeah, we're going to pass, reach back. And man, I just wanted to have the biggest pity party in the world about it. And instead, I paused. I'm like, all right, well, that sucks. What can I do? So I reached back out to another large case that I've been working on, somebody I'd built a relationship with. And within 30 minutes, he got back to me and he said, you know what? I'm so glad you reached out. I need you to get in here. We need to visit. I've got a new HR director. I need you to meet her. I want you to talk to my city manager. Like, so that's so stimulate. Like, what happened? I got to know, right? Somebody let me down. Like I was bummed about it. I paused. I could have said, you know what, the hell with this. I'm going home. I'm calling it a day. Or I'm going to call you. I'm going to call Michelle. I'm going to call everybody else and tell them how worked up I am. My hair's on fire. Their hair should be on fire too. And I want them to all join in my pity party. Instead, I didn't do that. I paused and I took the next right action. And that was, what can I control? And that was reach back out to another prospect. And they got back to me. And now that thing is in motion. The power and the pause, right? And those things happen every single day. And I can predict the future. I'll tell you, we got a bunch of salespeople listening to this. I know what's going to happen. I'll tell you right now what's going to happen. People are going to tell you no. They're going to tell you no. And they're going to push you off. And then somebody's going to tell you yes. And I live in Iowa. So it's like the weather's going to be nice. And then the weather's going to be crappy. You guys live in Southern California. So it's like, I tell you the weather's going to be crappy, but it probably won't be true. But you know,
water did come from the clouds yesterday and we panicked.
Right. But it's like your kids are going to behave and then you're just going to want to shake them. They're going to drive you nuts. That's what's going to happen. So when people call and they say, hey, this account pushed on me, I can say, I told you. But it's not about whether they pushed on you. They said, follow up with me. It's about what was your next step? Did you take advantage of the pause? And was there power in the pause so that you could take your next right action? Because that's what matters. And as long as you keep coming back, and I think I'm just too stubborn. I just keep coming back of 22 years. I just ups and downs, strikes and gutters, wins and losses, and I just keep showing up every day. And as long as I do that, I'm going to win this thing. So pause. Yeah. It's not really about time. I was just trying to find some alliteration. So I was thinking truths, some tools, and I said time, but really it's about pause. It's about the pause.
No, I mean, think about it. You brought up the inspirational posters, and I'm sure that it might have been Abraham Lincoln or any other founding father or somebody, but they wrote the angry letter, put it in the drawer. It sat there and then never got mailed out by Martha Washington, whatever. And then there was an apple tree. Yeah, the pause, man. It's like there's so much of that where you're just like, there's so much power in it, especially from as a leader, and we don't stop. And you know, I feel like a lot of times we spend time just trying to I don't know, trying to do everything, and then we end up doing nothing, or hurting ourselves even more.
Start your week strong with the Monday morning meeting. Tune in for team accolades that celebrate success, contests that keep you motivated, and announcements that keep you ahead. Don't just start your Monday, own it with the Monday morning meeting. You know, I only had a short window to work with you, Austin, before you stepped into becoming a market director in Iowa. But there was one key thing that I got from you that I still do today, which was when you're having a conversation, not forgetting that you're talking to another human being and leading with that first. When it comes to coaching, right, we're just going to talk through some of those questions coming through from The Coaching Habit by Michael Bungay Stanger. I can't say his name. Thank you for that book. Talk us through about like the concept of the book and how did it help kind of shape some of the way you go about coaching in your conversations with your associates.
What I loved about it is it simplified it for me. I think so oftentimes there's this misconception that coaching has to be this really strict, like we got to be in a locked room and we've got to have exactly 1 hour and I'm going to follow this diagram, and like that works too. There's different types of coaching, and what I love about The Coaching Habit is a series of questions. You could have an effective using that model with those question coaching conversation with somebody in 10 minutes because you check in on them, right? I always want to check in on the person. That first question is what's on your mind, but then the follow-up is the most important because and what else is on your mind? Because that's really where the truth's going to come out. My favorite question, they call it the lazy question in the book, but I call it my New Amsterdam question from that doctor show. I used to ask, how can I help? You know, how can I help? And that's really identifying because the person being coached is really the one that needs to come up with the developmental plan. And they're the ones that it's about them. It's their session. It's about what do they need to work on. Like, I'm not here to fix you. For years, I thought I was really coaching people and helping people. And I was really just rescuing them and solving their problems for them, and they're not growing. Create these people, and it's a vicious cycle because they're going to keep coming back. Oh, it feels great to save people, but is it
Yeah.
really helping them? I've always shared the ownership, and this was something that one of my mentors and coaches that I had last year called me out on. He goes, "Why do you always say, 'Hey, what can we do about it?'" I go, "I don't know. What do you mean?" He goes, "You always say we." He goes, "If you're coaching somebody," he goes, why are you afraid to say, 'Mikey, what are you going to do about it?'" He goes, "Why do you always share the?" I'm like, "I don't know, because empathy is my number 2 strength and strength finder, and I just want to help." And I don't know, but the kryptonite side of that is, if I'm sharing, like, they need to own it. They need to own the development plan and the developmental activity. And it's like, so what are you going to do, Michelle? What are you going to work on? And I want to make sure that you're going to work on that, because it's your plan, it's your development. And I think so oftentimes when I try to, well, how can we do it? So don't be scared. Don't be scared to say, "Hey, what are you going to do about it?" And I start asking that. And I had somebody say, "Well, I'm going to cry in the corner like I always do," And then the first time I did it, it was really uncomfortable for me. Like, "Well, what are you going to do about it?" And I think I probably did. I probably could have said it better. I sound like a jerk. "Well, what are you going to do about it?" But ultimately, I think what it does is it does put ownership back on the individual to say, "You know what, if I want to fix this thing, I've probably got to do some work on it."
Yeah.
Yeah. As you were talking, it's just bringing everything that when I first stepped into leadership, like being guilty of, and people coming to me and knowing all the stuff. And Michael can attest to it because he was my region. Like, I just knew all the answers, and not because I wanted to be a know-it-all. That's how I learned. But when
Yeah.
people would come to me, instead of teaching them how to find it themselves, I would just do it for them. And I wasn't patient enough. And even my husband calls me out. It's like, just show me. Don't do it for me. Just like the little things. It is a challenge for me, and it's working so far. I'm trying my best to
Yeah.
wrap it
And
up.
sometimes people will be like, "That's the best leader I've ever had." I'm like, "Yeah, I would love that leader too. They handle all your BS, and
Yeah.
every time you got a problem, you get to cry on their shoulder, and like, it's a vicious cycle. Like, you're in that drama triangle that they talk about in the book." But, and I'll say this. I mean, I don't, and I joke all the time. I say, you guys know I don't take myself very serious, but like, when it comes to like leadership in this business and people development, like when it comes to coaching, I take that very serious. And if I'm doing something in a coaching session, or if in a development session that's hindering them from growing, then I have to take that serious. So I'm glad that somebody called me out on that. And um, I'm glad that I've learned some of these tools to use in coaching, because if I'm enabling somebody, and I think, and that's disguise, that's, in my head, I think my perspective is I'm just helping a bunch of people. Like, that's important as a leader to identify, like, and this is a fine line. And as a market director, I want to do so much for the market. And then I think I did last year, my first year as a market director. I feel like we tried to do so much from a market level that I really do think I hindered, and I hate saying this out loud, but I think I hindered some development, some growth, because I believe we were enabling more than we were empowering. And this year I focused a lot more on trying not to rescue everything and empowering people more, and it's making a difference.
That's so good to hear, man. Yeah, when Michelle was asking some of those questions, I was like, "Oh my gosh, wait, this is an intervention." That's what, like, this is, you guys are doing a coaching intervention on me. Uh,
Yeah.
I knew it. No, that was so good. I have a page full of notes right now, man. That was really great just to walk through. And yeah, I mean, I'll be listening to this again just to actually, digest it and put a lot more of it into practice, genuinely, because um yeah, it does feel good to try to be the solver. And even that question of the what are we gonna do versus what are you gonna do about it, I mean, I have that weird same thing that you have, man, where it's like, I don't know why that makes me uncomfortable, just being able to say,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do about it? So that was fantastic.
Well, we do ask the question, how can I help?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the developmental activity has to be owned by the person. It doesn't
Sure.
mean that I don't take ownership, but I think for so long, it's like, what are we going to do? And I'm like, am I really going to go with you in the field and help fix this person? No, I'm not. So why am I saying we? This has been helpful for me too, because it's good reminders that this stuff works when you use it.
Sales School is hosted by Michelle Lee, the #1 market trainer in all of Aflac. Want to sell more insurance? Want to make more money? Want to learn how to sell the best things? Go to Sales School.
We are going to move us over to our rapid fire round. We are going to start off with living or dead, a person that you could have lunch with. And and I don't want to get any hate for this. I'm going to have to exclude Jesus on this one because everybody said that. And for sure, living or dead, who's another person that you would love to have lunch with?
My father passed away when he was young. He passed away at 54. I had started with the company, and that was some of the best years of my life, was getting into sales because he was in sales and we had something in common. That was 2009 when he passed. So a lot of time has passed and a lot of life has happened since then. And if I had an opportunity to have lunch with my dad one more time, just to talk about the kids and for him to meet the kids, that would be really special. So have to wait for heaven.
Yeah, I think I would join you on that. Not with your dad, though. With mine, that's
Yeah.
it would be weird to be with your dad.
I'm gonna top that one with our next question. So if you were to have a billboard on the I-35 that your team gets to see, other people driving through your great state of Iowa, what would your one statement that you want people to know?
It's all going to be okay. So I go through this exercise sometimes. Like, what if I don't hit my number? Then what happens? And then what if if you go down that path, like say Mikey is like, what happens if you don't? Like, then, you go after it next year. Or if, you're trying to keep the wolves away, and then they put me on a performance plan and then what? I don't know. Either I hit it or I don't. And then what? Right. And then eventually this whole thing goes down to, and then I die. And then what? And then I go to heaven. Like, it's all going to be okay. Like, it's all going to be okay. And I listened to your podcast with Joe Bazzello, and I couldn't agree with him more. It's like, stop taking yourself so serious. Like this, what we do is not who we are. And that's my biggest fear, is that, this thing will start to define me to the place of this is who I am. And there's a lot of life out there, and it's all going to be okay. But gosh darn it, just calm down, people. Find some gratitude. And it's all going to be okay. I think a lot of people need to hear that right now.
That's awesome.
I absolutely, man. I think I need to hear that all the time too. That's so just wrapping up, any final thoughts, asks from our team audience, anything that you just want to share, just closing us out here.
Every day's a gift, guys. I mean, we've got an opportunity every day to get out there and influence people in a positive way, and that starts in our house, and that starts with our loved ones. And my advice: say yes when you want to say no to the positive things.
To the positive.
Let me put that disclaimer in there. I mean, there's a lot to be thankful for. You can't be worried or stressed and thankful at the same time. I mean, just take the business serious, take leadership serious, developing people really serious, taking care of your clients really serious, but don't take yourself too serious. Like, it's all gonna be okay.
I totally agree. Austin, it means a lot that you were one of the ones when Michelle and I talked about this, and you were like the first person where I was like, that's a guest that we just really, really can't wait to have on. And I hope that we get you on again. Just because, a lot of podcasts that you've shared with me helped shape even where I am today. And also just your coaching has helped shape where I am today. So want to just tell you that I love you and I appreciate you. And it means a lot that you joined us today. So appreciate you, man. I'm going to send it to you, Michelle, to close us out.
Austin, thank you so much. And I'm following up with Michael and what he said. In the short window I've got to work with you, I have learned so much, especially stepping into the market trainer role. And I'm very grateful for that. And I still got more notes from today that I'm definitely going to continue on as we head into 2026 as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
For everyone listening, pick up the coaching habit if you haven't done so. Take a look at some of those questions, but the habit starts right with action. And I thank you so much for joining the LA Legends podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, share this episode with your team, and we'll see you guys all on the next one. Bye, guys.